Welcome to the leO Insurance Podcast. Join us as we explore the insight, techniques, and tools that empower insurance agents to grow their business, enhance their marketing, and close more deals. Each episode will bring expert advice, industry trends, and actionable tips to help you thrive. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the leO's podcast. I'm Liry Halperin-Segal, CEO and founder of leO. Today's topic is the $1 Million Revenue Agency Blueprint. I'm excited to be here with Scott, our SVP, one of the top mentors for insurance agents. He has worked with hundreds of agencies, helping them refine their sales strategies and close more deals with leO. We also have Mike Stromsoe with us, leading author, speaker, and coach for the insurance industry. We first met Mike when we started selling leO in its current form, and his insights have been invaluable. Many of the strategies he teaches agents are principles we have worked to integrate directly into our platform. Mike, thank you for your partnership and for being here today. Our listeners are in for a fantastic conversation packed with actionable tips and strategies to help them sell better and grow their business. Please introduce yourself, guys. Who wants to start?
You know what? I guess I'll jump in here, Liry. And we're looking at a snow-covered field here, so you got a little bit of light on the side here. But listen, Mike, it's great to have you on this call. I remember we met a couple of years back, and we were at one of your conferences, your coaching conferences. Phenomenal. So thank you for being on this podcast with us. Myself, I've been in the insurance industry for a long time. My father had a brokerage. I've actually been on site to over 800 agencies from Florida to Maine, down to Florida, Hawaii, all over the place. My team's done about 1,200 of these meetings last year, and we do offer a coaching session on how to use data as a story to build up to that $1 million book. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mike.
Liry, Scott, thank you so much for having me, and I'm honored to be here. I am grateful for our partnership, and thank you for what you've built to support independent insurance agents in their journey. Data, I 100% agree, is king, as they say. But more importantly than that, like Benjamin Franklin said, well done is better than well said. So we can talk about it all we want. Our goal today, and I know you guys feel the same way, is that whatever people get out of the podcast today, they will take that nugget or multiple nuggets and take action on it. So super, super excited.
Great. Thank you, guys. So Mike, could you share a bit about your background for our listeners?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. And I'm going to give you the short version. When I was 12, I asked my dad if I could work at his restaurant, Barnaby's. He said, if you're going to work for me, you've got to work harder than everyone else. So I did, making pizza dough from scratch, baking pizzas, making sandwiches, whatever I needed to do. By 23, I was running a way bigger restaurant that was open 365 days a year. Somebody called in sick, I filled in. Somebody needed to leave early, I stayed late. Most days I was there before 5 a.m. and after 7 p.m. After a couple of years of this, I was talking to my dad. I'm missing my family. Keith was 4, Kevin was 2. I'm never home. In fact, I don't know if my marriage is going to survive. Dad said, why not join me in the insurance business? I'm thinking, me, an agent? I don't know. Then he said, we're closed on Saturdays and Sundays. Deal. So for the next 11 years, I worked in my dad's office. I made all the birthday parties, took the family on vacation, and I was home for dinner. But I was hungry to start my own agency. So I opened an office in the next county over, and just like that, long days and long nights again. Hiring, payroll, processes, marketing. I didn't know how to do all this. In 1999, I went to an insurance conference, and all of these speakers had it all figured out. I thought, why am I going to recreate the wheel? I'm going to become a massive implementer. So back at the office, I implemented their recruiting and hiring strategies, their processes and systems, and the marketing. OMG. The marketing. It's like somebody gave me a key to the mint and I was able to print money. The business took off like a rocket ship. A few years later, a friend of mine, Bill, stopped by the office. An industry veteran. He said, so Mike, what was your revenue last year? I said, Bill, we had $1 million. He said, whoa, you hit $1 million in less than 9 years? You got to share how you did that. In fact, it would be unfair if you didn't. That's when we started coaching and working with other agents. And over the next 11 years, we've helped hundreds of agents grow their business 1,000% or more in less than 9 years. I'm going to pause there. And that is why I get out of bed every day to impact agents' lives personally and professionally. So let's share a little bit about what we've learned so far to help some agents. What do you think?
Wow, what a story. By the way, I wish I can say that about being a CEO of a startup. We are open here 24/7. So yeah, no work-life balance here. But no, that's a great story. And I have to say that Scott and I, we were in the UPP conference and we saw the magic. We saw it there. So amazing. Could you maybe walk us through your most successful year as an agent?
Yeah. So after that beginning, when I found the magic of marketing, we implemented for a lot of years, which led up to our most successful year. I will say it was probably about 15 years after that moment. And it's when it all came together. So for anybody out there, if you're feeling stuck or you're not quite there yet, or maybe even frustrated, just keep staying the course, please. You will get there. And I felt that way. I had many long nights and long days and et cetera, but I stayed the course. And I'm going to share something with you in a little bit about how to implement that in your life. It was about 15 years later when it was all working together. The people, the processes, and the promotions were all working in synchronicity. I had time freedom. I was able to work on the business 70 to 80% of my day working on the business, the creative place, right? Where I could work on marketing ideas, testing new things to grow, build relationships, another acquisition, et cetera, et cetera. And it turned out, I remember the moment at the end of that year, the revenue and the net profit was more than we had ever experienced before. And I had a little sheet that I went into our systems in because I was tracking, the gross, the expenses, the net every year over a period of time. And I looked at the upward progression of the business, and we had kind of reached the pinnacle. I mean, excess of 30% net profit, and life was really, really good. I had freedom to live life on my own terms. It's a wonderful place to be. So the bottom line, stay the course and do the work. The right work.
The right work. Yes. So you mentioned marketing. What do you think about building a personal brand for agents?
So my great question for everybody out there either watching or listening to this, in business period, you've got to be answering this question in every interaction, online or offline, phone call, Zoom session, whatever it is. Why? Mm-hmm. Why should somebody do business with you over and above any and all other options available to them? Why? And the answer to that question, how you present yourself, what you say, what you don't say, what you do, what you don't do, is everything in your personal brand. And so it does start with you. And if you want to go into leadership for just a second, the greatest leadership thought that I've ever collaborated about and come up with was from my late friend, Rick Robbins. And it's simply, would I follow me? Would I follow me? Same thing for your brand. Would you follow your brand? Your brand is what the marketplace perceives who you are as an organization, because what people perceive is what they believe. So what does your brand represent? What do you stand for? And what don't you stand for? That's part of your brand. So we were privileged to go through a complete formalized branding exercise where they interviewed everyone on our team. Mm-hmm. And they answered the questions as to who they were as a person, as an individual, what they stood for and what they didn't stand for. And I did the same thing. We brought that all together. And that's how we created our brand guide of who we were as a business organization. And it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. And our brand as an independent insurance agency business was simply, we inspire happiness in people's insurance program. And our goal simply was to take that and back it up in every way, every day. And it was a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Well, and that branding becomes your differentiator too, right? So
yeah, it separates you. I mean, my greatest back in that 1999 era, I went to a marketing conference and I was like, oh, because I was on fire for the marketing, right? And I said, I'm going to go invest and learn more about that because, I want to do more of that. And this marketing mentor that I had at the time said, look what everybody else is doing and do the exact opposite. Differentiation, like Scott said.
Mm-hmm. There is, I think, who's doing a great job on LinkedIn, for example, is Chris Paradiso. He's also, sharing some personal materials, and you can engage with him better. So you want to trust him. You want to listen to what he has to say. And I know you guys are good friends, right?
Yes. I'm privileged. Yes.
Yeah. So
he's a blessing. He's a blessing to the industry and the world.
I agree. He's one of our users, and he's always has the best feedback. So yeah, I agree with you. So, you have your coaching and mastermind programs. What are the most common questions you are getting?
Ooh, I don't know that we have enough hours in today to get too deep on that, but the number one question is, how do I position my business to grow in the way that I want it to grow into the future? And so in helping agents and working with agents over a number of years and having them in the trenches right here at my house, we get into the trenches to work on the business. We observed that what they really need is a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Not only a plan that's customized to their agency business. And so through our own development and our own independent insurance agency, we found a way that we used that actually worked. And it worked when we lost $230,000 in commission when I woke up one day.
Mm-hmm.
But the good news is we had a plan. And I said to our other 3 leadership team members, here's the good news. Today sucks, yes, but the good news is we have a plan and we have each other. We will recover from this and move on. We lost our largest account. It happens, right? With that being said, because they got so big, they took all of their insurance in-house. They got in with some people in the financial markets in New York, figured out how to self-insure it because they already had experience there. And we're still friends today. So that happened. We had a plan. So now we teach that same plan to every independent insurance agent that we work with, and they have a game plan. And we teach them, how to work quarterly, how to work annually, and beyond that with their core values and their core purpose. It's magical and it's wonderful.
So you need a plan. Yes. Scott,
have a plan. And more importantly, here's the other thing that I've observed.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most important characteristics or traits that today's business entrepreneur and agency entrepreneur need to possess and really need to get comfortable or uncomfortable with is agility.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be agile because things are going to change all the time, just like that. So you got to be comfortable and agile with the change. So you got to be able to amend your plan, stick to your plan, amend your plan, stick to your plan, and make the quick decision to shift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm going to give, I sense you got another question for me, so I'm going to save it for a minute, but I'll seed it so we don't forget. It's your routine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need to develop your routine, definitely.
Well, you got to have a routine, right? Because people say, Mike, you don't flinch. No. Well, how come you don't flinch? How come, this massive disruption or this event that happened, how come it doesn't seem to bother you?
Mm-hmm.
It's the routine. I mean, I intentionally work on myself every single day without miss for an hour and a half before I even enter into trying to help somebody else. Now, no longer are our 6 kids at home. They're all grown and have their own families. So I do have that freedom. Mm-hmm. But, looking back, what would I have done differently? I would have simply gotten up earlier and done it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's that mental preparation that is so critically important to you. And that's your routine. That's part of your routine. So vitally important.
Yeah. By the way, they say that in order to create a new habit, it will take you 30 days. So you need to invest 30 days, even if you don't want to get up early in the morning or exercise or stop with the coffee, 30 days. And this is how you will create yourself a new habit. Scott, which questions are you getting from our users when they're starting to use leO?
It's based on the market that's approaching us, but there are some similar themes, right? Because we have individual agencies with one producer, and then we have top 100 agencies. But kind of the same theme is, I'm getting into commercial lines. I don't know how. I'm not sure how to get into commercial lines. And much of Mike's point, we want to develop them a plan. A lot of people say they want to be a generalist. Really, about 10% of the agencies that we deal with over the 1,200 meetings about 10% of them have a clear-cut niche that they're going after. So we tend to kind of focus them on a niche area. And then whether it's down market or up market, we show them how to use data as a story, because a lot of them go, hey, listen, we want a workers' comp X date list. And that's universal across all the agents. So they're like, how do you get me in the door? What's that wedge? Where's that difference? Mike talked about earlier, what's your difference? What's your marketing? How are you going to compete in such a noisy environment? So we tell them to use data as a story. There's some key data aspects that whether you're going after DOT commercial accounts, there's some risk assessments that you can do very quickly in leO. And so when I call it Mike, I can say, and maybe I'm after the workers' comp. I can call it Mike and go, hey, Mike, I did a risk assessment on your business. I ran your DOT. There's 8 different filings in leO that you can run risk assessments on DOT. I looked at your 401k, looked at your bond, looked at the number of employees over time. I don't see that growing. The bond's supposed to grow over time if the employees do. You're starting to create a little fear, uncertainty, and doubt. We call it FUD in the mind. Maybe my current broker is not looking at the overall assessment in my business. On that, some of the forms, we can identify the key contact and what's their tenure over time. So again, using data as a story, most P&C brokers don't use a benefit 401k form, tremendous amount of data. I'm not writing commercial auto, DOT, tremendous amount of data. We also can give you a snapshot on their OSHA over a 10-year period of time. So when you reach out to a new prospect or even your existing prospect and do a new risk assessment, you come in and data's king, and you've structured it to be that advisor that has better data, better input, better questions, better answers up front than maybe the incumbent or another broker that's trying to go after that business. So,
yeah,
Larry, I can piggyback on that just very, very quickly. One of the things that I have taught for years, the better the question, the better the result. Mm-hmm. But I recently picked up in a book called True North. The question is the answer. Exactly. So part of the skill and the storyline, if you will, in trying to help these business owners out there for any agents, period.
Well, I want
to the better questions you come up with. And Scott, what do you do when you ask the question?
Yep. I like to ask questions that I already know the answer to also. And I think the data that we have positions you, hey, do you know the structure on this bond? Do you know what your filings look like on a risk assessment, say your DOT? Most of them do not. So I already know the answer before I ask the question. And that puts me in that advisor role.
Right. And a series of small wins leads to one big win or yeses. So ask the question and shut the heck up, but set them up for some small wins in the conversation. They're going, wow, Scott really knows what's going on in my business. I think he can help me. Boom.
Yep.
Yeah.
And listen, Mike and Larry, let me go a little bit further on this one. 50% of our new producers validate. That's just terrible. I've spent my whole career in being an entrepreneur net new, right? Create a company, maybe sell it off in a couple. I know what that net new, what that scratch producer goes through it daily. Larry alluded to that. We're 24/7, 365. We're a startup, right? Well, we've got years under our belt and over 1,000 agencies signed up for leO last year. But my point being is we can relate to them and coach them and teach them. So now the new producer, they may not understand what a lot of this data is, but they approach that prospect with this gusto, with this ammunition, and they know that I'm coming in and going to be seen as an advisor. And I think it helps them reach out, prospect better, and just gives them that head start before they even start.
Yeah. And to keep it simple, as we all know, everybody puts their pants on the same way, one leg at a time.
That's right.
Or dress. I don't know about that, but anyway. Back to you, Larry. Take it away.
So we are getting towards the end of the podcast. So I have 5 more quick questions to you, Mike. What's one piece of advice you would give to new agents entering the industry?
Boy, if I had only known then. One, I'll say it again. Work on yourself first. You've got to work on yourself. One of my greatest mentors of all time, the late, great, iconic Jim Rohn, said, you attract exactly what you are and who you have become. You've got to work on yourself first every day to be, quote, more attractive, to attract people to you. I learned in my early morning outing just this morning, and it made me stop and dictate this to myself. And I want to make sure I share it with everybody here because I'm a ferocious audio studier of books, right? And I picked this one up out of the book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. It's not about what you get out of the books. It's what the books get out of you.
So true.
So allow it to pull it out of you and become more. That's first. And once you begin to work on yourself and become more, number two, disqualification. Oh, if I'd only known that back then. The art of disqualification that I finally learned from Jacques Worth in about 2002. You don't have to do business with everybody.
Yep.
So know your ideal client avatar. And that's where you guys come in so well. Thank you so much. You help agents identify their ideal client avatar in a lot of ways so they know who they want to do business with. You don't have to do business with everybody. Know who you want to do business with, who you can serve well. And Scott talked about a generalist earlier. No. You want to be a niche player. Find your passion. Obviously, I grew up in the restaurant business, as you heard earlier. That was one of my passions. And then I got into the sub-restaurant niches like pizzerias. I was making pizza when I was 12, making pizza dough from scratch. So I started insuring pizzerias, right? So I like three niches personally to start with, to begin to develop. There is millions of opportunities out there. You don't need them all. So work on yourself, disqualify people, get your ideal client avatar together. And the next thing that you need to do, and people ask me a lot, Mike, if you were starting all over again and starting your agency again, what would you do? It is quite simple. And here's the fourth thing for you. I would focus on commercial lines 80% of the time. 100%. I would be building my attraction, recruiting, interviewing, and hiring system so it's rock solid and consistently operating. I would be going to find producers, and every one of those producers would have their own proprietary VA or assistant, because they should only be doing the things that only they can do, which is talking to people about their insurance program. Everything else is driven down to the lowest level. That producer would have their own VA or assistant. They would have their own coach. And rock and roll, because we all need a coach. I mean, Michael Jordan, Michael always had a coach. Kobe, they always had a coach. The greatest achievers of all time, they always have a coach, somebody they listen to. There's people that have 7 or 8 coaches. I mean, one of my coaches, that person's son is an up and coming professional athlete. He's got multiple coaches, including a mental strength coach. I'm like, I wrote that down last week when I was working with him. I said, I need one of those. So that's just the beginning points. I hope that helped everybody.
Yeah, and I have a small tip here. Sometimes scratch producers, they don't have the budget to take coaches and mentors. I think they should invest in it if they can, as the business grow. But what they can do is listen to podcasts. They can go to conferences, just buy a ticket. Sometimes there are a lot of promotions. Listen to what others has to say. So try to listen to webinars, podcasts all the time, and that will be your mentor, your coach, until you will get a real one.
100% agree with that. Look, Ryan Blair, remember Ryan Blair, right, Scott?
Yep.
Ryan Blair said, you either find a way or you find an excuse. There is so much data out there in the world, and it's free.
Yes.
So if you're not getting what you need, shame on you, because it's out there. But the other thing to partner with that, Larry, is goals. So you're scratch. You're not there yet. You don't have the money. You don't have the budget, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. I remember I was on my own for 7 months in that struggle, that, if you will, darkness. But I just kept fighting through, and I had goals. I knew I needed to get to a number so I could finally get somebody to answer the phone, and I finally got there, right? So with that being said, set yourself a goal and just go after it. And, lean on all the resources like this great podcast as an example to help you.
Thank you. You're trying.
What's interesting is what you just described is what leO is. So we had to, from scratch, a couple of years ago, no customers, no anything. The market didn't know about us. And we just got written up in Rough Notes magazine. I don't know if you saw that. We also,
congratulations.
Marshberry did a write-up on us. And, much to your point about investing in self, I was starting to run out a little bit of time for me, right? So guess what? We moved it back to 4:30 a.m., not 5 a.m. And it's that 30-minute difference is huge. It's just huge. And you got to invest in yourself, and you got to do it daily.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, guys.
The number one reason that people don't succeed personally or professionally, right? Sorry, Larry.
Okay, guys, we're running out of time. So
all right, let me finish this because I know they're waiting. The number one reason people don't succeed personally or professionally is lack of what? Consistency.
Yep. Vision, goals, consistent to them. Yep.
So it's related to the next question. So how do you stay motivated and inspired in your work?
Most importantly, when your why becomes big enough, your how becomes easy.
Mm.
So you've got to know your why. Why do you do what you do? For many people, it's their family, but it might be their spouse. It might be something else. I have a long story about my original why, and I'll be happy to share that some other time. But I always know my why. Now it's a cousins camp. It's our 13 grandkids. I'm teaching them entrepreneurial proficiency and how to achieve whatever they want in life. That gets me out of bed.
Amazing.
And when our clients have success, that gets me out of bed. When I get notes like I got the other day after I worked with a client, I was like, oh, my heart, it's so happy. Your why, know your why. And then support it with creative materials like books and podcasts and trainings to fuel those empty days.
Yes, I agree. I can relate to that. What was the most, so this is a fun question. What was the most creative marketing idea you saw that an agency does?
Wow, that's a big loaded question as well. I'm going to go ahead and take my own. Okay. So I was at a marketing conference, roughly 2009 to drop a date, and they were offering photographs at this conference, and you could get 3 photographs for $100. I said, all right, what do you got? He said, well, whatever you want to do. You can dress up in a straight jacket and take a picture. You can dress in a white coat and take a picture, and a money jacket and take a picture. So I did all 3. So I went back to the office, and I had this picture with me in a white coat, which is a doctor's quote. And I thought, what can I do with this? I created a persona. I was the insurance doc. Mm-hmm. I had prescriptions. I wrote prescriptions for people to eliminate insurance pains and rate pains and all that kind of stuff. And I had the story. I was walking through a public place, and the owner of the largest car dealership in town said, hey, Mike, are you over at the new hospital? Right then and there, I had him in a conversation. The CFO, who was my guy of the $1.3 billion revenue company, when I walked into their Las Vegas office without the coat on, he goes, hey, Doc, how's it going?
Nice.
Because he saw it all in the newsletter.
Yes.
Be memorable. Be unforgettable.
Yep.
Love it. Can you share a book that had a great impact on your career?
Oh, my gosh. There's so many. Yeah. I'm going to drop 2. All right, I'll drop 3. Okay. And I happen to have a numbered book of one of the 3. Thanks to somebody on this podcast. Thank you, Scott. How to Win Friends and Influence People. But probably the top one is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And it's not about money. What is being rich? It's who you are and what you contribute to the greater good. Think and Grow Rich, number 1. The other one I was given by a billionaire when I went to a conference in roughly 2007. So they said, hey, if you want a ticket, come learn from a billionaire. He's going to share over one day what he learned on his way to become a billionaire. And I thought, I bet you I can get something out of that. So I got my butt over there in Florida. I went to the conference, and at the end of the day, he shared so many little thought processes, changed my life. When we're walking out, I don't know if you guys remember what a CD is.
Yes.
So we walked out of the conference, they were handing out CDs. And on that CD was a book called The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale.
Yep.
It changed my life forever. A little book. It's on YouTube. It's free. 30 minutes. The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. Go listen to it.
Yeah.
I listened to it more than 1,000 times. And when did I listen to it? Probably during my toughest hours. But it brought me right back to where I needed to be. The only competition that we have, and he said it in the book, the only competition that we have is that we make for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, I agree with you. I have the album and the book, if you remember what an album is. It's literally phenomenal. Anybody who listens to this podcast must listen to or read.
Scott, my birthday is on the 21st of May.
I'll send you the album. I'll send you the album. So.
Okay, guys. So, wow, that was a great podcast with so many great tips and advice. So thank you so much, Mike and Scott. I wrote a lot. I'm sure our listeners learned a lot. So thank you so much. Mike, can you maybe say how, if our listeners want to reach out to you, how can they connect with you?
I'm out there also on all the social media channels, but they can go to upplife.com. That's Paul, UPP Life, LIF, like Frank E.com. Just go to upplife.com. You can find all of our contact information there. And I'll be happy to jump on an agency growth session and help anybody who would like to have a conversation.
Amazing. And when is your next conference?
Yeah. Our next conference is actually in San Antonio, Texas, approximately 3 weeks from now. So We're super, super excited about that.
Wow. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
So guys, if you want to schedule a demo or start a 14-day trial and try out leO, please go to our website, www.meetleo.com, and just try it out. It's free, or schedule a demo with one of our advisors. Thank you so much.